Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. What a happy time. Star Citizen.
The best.
Perfect. Oh my God, why is the scene wrong? All right, it's supposed to say something different down here. I'm having so many I had to redo everything. This will probably pop in and out, but I will get it right. Basically, the topics are 4.0.1 released with a new ship, some new events that we've been playing in the PTU for a while, and good times, right? Everything's working perfectly for you, Croncy. Well, I fixed this scene. I'm so upset right now.
Everything is so perfect, and it's so on brand that I just heard my fridge beep at me, so I accidentally left it open. So I'll be back in a second.
Oh yes, let's go. We're starting off perfectly. All right. Anyway, I'm going to change the scenes here, which should have saved, but did not for some reason. Let's see. Nice. They didn't save. Okay. But good thing that I still have them all ready to go. So we're going to save them right now. It's just going to pop in and look really goofy and weird, I think. But other than that,
sorry guys, tiny server error there.
Yeah, just a short, quick server error, right?
But yes, we're back. It's been a week. I was wrong about everything I said last week about there's no shot they released 4.0.1. Not only did they release it, they like fully released it. So 3.24 is gone. There's no preview anymore. It's just that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's happening? This makes no sense. It's literally updated, and it has not updated. I don't understand. All right. I literally
that makes sense for both the podcast and for Star Citizen. Am I right, guys?
I'm so upset. All right, we're gonna be a floating box for 2 seconds. I'm literally just going to re-add it, I guess. I don't know.
Well, while you're fixing the bugs, yeah. So 4.01 got released. That was around the middle of the week, or at least the middle of the week for me. I think it was like Tuesday or something technically. In addition, and this is all news we'll go over. And because of the release, we saw the release of the MISC Fortune. We got some very interesting posts. Oh wow, this is
well, it's 4K, so but it's still not. It's basically just not saving from Photoshop. I have no idea. This is so goofy. This is so goofy. All
right. Subscribe to see more of Mike messing around with OBS scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the MISC Fortune, and then we had a bunch of very interesting Spectrum posts. One of the only times I've ever actually read Spectrum. One from Terada, which a lot of you guys would have heard about, and then what felt like a follow-up from Zyloh, but we'll get to that later. I guess we'll start 4.0.1. It's out. It came with the new event, which is the yearly event they do, the Lunar New Year. Oh God, it's so bad. It's one of the worst. Like day one patch, it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I didn't have as many. Oh God, I'm not even. This is such a mess. Oh my God, it's so bad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, this is just like when nothing works, it's so frustrating. I'm trying to bring up the Lunar New Year stuff. I didn't experience that many issues. So 4.0.1 dropped, and the worst thing that I had was elevators not working for about 20 minutes at where was I? Checkmate, I think.
Sure.
I completed all 3 factions of phase 1 fight for Pyro, and I was able to kind of like test the whole new ship thing, right? The MISC Fortune. So it went fine for me, but that doesn't mean that it was fine. That doesn't mean that it should have come out. Like every issue I ran into were just skill issues. Like dying to things like I basically like because I had to do the other factions on alt accounts, like they just had starter ships. So it was pretty challenging. And like that was most of my problems. So I had the typical Croncy experience where you come on and you say everything's working fine, But that is a huge problem, right? Because when
Mhm.
some people are having decent experiences, some people are having really horrible experiences, it means it's not really easy to reproduce what the issues are. And if bugs
Yeah.
aren't and issues aren't super easy to reproduce, then they're not super easy to fix. So
Yep.
that's the situation we're in, and that's not good.
Yeah.
That's
So
not good.
my day one experience, NPCs were not spawning correctly, meaning I couldn't do any
Sick.
of the new missions really. We tried to do contested zones, and once again, this is on day one. Maybe the servers have been up for about 8 hours at this point.
Hmm.
The what are they called? Like the card generators were not working. They were either not spitting them out or they were busted, and you couldn't you couldn't press the thing. Oh, it works. There we go. Fixed. Something got fixed today. We'll
Yeah.
take it. Uh,
I'm gonna switch to
yeah.
the
So you,
other scene for a moment
yep.
just to change that one. Okay, as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, fair. But yeah, so you couldn't really do contested zones for the most part, or at
Actually,
least we couldn't when we tried.
no.
Um, which was my biggest thing because like
Yeah.
the contested zones have not worked consistently since after those first 2 days of 4.0.
Correct.
They're my most hyped feature. I love doing them, and then not being able to do them sucks. So
I lied.
um,
That was actually one of the major things I ran into was I was unable to get the keys to work on I went to Ruin when it was unable to get all the keys to work except for one. The one that did work dropped 8 key. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what's happening. Why you're disappearing. This is such a disaster. Um I but I
never
will
update OBS to anyone in
yeah,
chat.
literally do not update OBS. It's like the worst thing ever. But we'll be done in 2 seconds here. Okay, you should be fine now. This is something that's going on with the OBS change. You
Yeah,
make any changes and it makes everything all wonky. I don't know. I don't get it.
weird.
But the so one key thing dropped 8 keys of the same key. Like it just spit them
Yeah,
all out. And I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
okay." And I was able to open that door and I was able to get the
Mhm.
components out. The reason I wanted to do it is I wanted to see if you could put components from the CZs onto your ship.
Yep.
The freight elevator didn't go down. Freight elevator
Yep.
broke. So if it's
Yep.
not the doors, it's the freight elevator. If it's not the freight elevator, it's the executive hangar. If it's it's just
Yep.
like one thing after another. And then one thing I don't have on the screen that I'm going to bring up right now is it's all this stuff is completely broken, and then they want us to get excited about this. Did you see the sneak peek?
I have not looked at the sneak peek this week. No.
All right, here we go. They want us to get excited by this. What does that look like to you? It's very simple to tell what's going on. Green
It looks
spray
like a
paint.
dynamic event.
Green spray paint. What does green spray paint
Oh,
mean?
yes. Yeah. So it's like an additional
Mo-
CZ slash like
yeah, they're moving
yeah,
more. They're moving some CZ stuff down to the surface, so they're changing
yeah.
them, or adding to them more
Mhm.
steps or something like that. And it's like, wait a second. The current ones don't work. People are thinking it's Jumptown Pyro.
Yeah.
I think it's contested zone content. The
It could
green
be. It
spray
could be
paint
like
is consistent with
yeah.
contested zone content. It's just always has.
It could be contested zone like jump town. Like it could be a
Maybe.
weird sort of mix of
Could
the
be.
two or whatever. But at the very least, it looks like more ground content.
Yeah.
Which I am always excited for. And when I have enjoyed CZs, I've really enjoyed them. So like, cool. I'm glad
Yes.
that like honestly, we'll continue talking about the absolute state of everything in a second. But I do think one thing CIG have learned from 4.0 is people like CZs.
Yes.
Cool. So it's like awesome. So you can continue to start like
Well,
work on more of that kind of content.
be careful what you say and who you're speaking for. Because there
Some
were
people like
of,
CZs.
There you go. Because a lot of people were. I don't like that the components are coming from here.
Yep.
Right. So that one's tough, but I still believe that this community is going through a revolution or something like that, where revelation or an epiphany, if you will, because that's a funny meme that happened today, is the idea that the people who have been just looking at spaceships and talking about spaceships for a really long time and buying all the progression of the game throughout its entire process are having some reality checks that are happening to them, and that the video game might be meant to be played, and they might not like that, and those people are probably not going to like the game that's being built, and they will eventually move out, and then the people who do enjoy the video game will move in. But we're in this like transitionary period where the I don't want to say non-gamers because they're all gamers and I don't want to put them down, but what they enjoyed is not the thing anymore. And if they don't find
at the very
a way,
least, like not as much of a priority right now for CIG.
yeah, and if they don't find a way to enjoy the content that's being made, that was always, for the most part, communicated was going to happen. That you know, the more vocal people on Spectrum, Reddit, and stuff, I think that's going to eventually shift to more of the not hardcore gamers or anything, but
this will still always be very much like a dad space game. It's just I think the full scope of like what's going to be available to any one player at any time is starting to come to fruition, right?
Yeah, I mean Eve's a dad space game too, but
exactly, yeah. So yeah, I had lots of problems with the CZs. Today was able to get on again. Could not get out of Checkmate Station in one server. I tried another server. Was able to get out of Checkmate Station. No NPC spawning. Couldn't do my missions. Third server, I couldn't get out of Checkmate, so I backspaced to my home and then flew into Pyro. Tried to do one of the missions. It was one of the asteroid missions, like for the event.
Asteroid mission NPCs, for the event. Which side are you going?
Frontier.
Nice.
Frontier fighters.
Yep. That one's, those are hard.
Yeah, so the start of it was like it was really hard, but that was kind of cool. I was like, holy crap! Like these ships are like on point, like Cutlass Black against Cutlass Black, and I'm getting wrecked.
Yep. Station turrets are scary.
They are. I managed to get to the asteroid station without with a lot of trouble, but I was able to get there, and that was kind of cool. And then the mission bugged out, and while all the NPCs were there, the mission wasn't telling me what to do, wasn't telling me how many people to kill or anything like that, wasn't updating. So literal no progress made at all in 4.0.1 for me, except for like a couple of tweaker compensators that we got on Wednesday. So
wow, yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
All three. I have done all three factions, completed them. But I mean, it was a fight. It was a fight. But I did all three factions, and like the weight lifted off my shoulders to having those done. Now I'm not done, and the hardest part is coming next, because these are the parts that weren't as tested in the PTU because we lost our missions when we got to these stages most of the time. So I have a feeling that the second phase, which is the last phase, is going to be way more difficult. Why did you go Frontier Fighters? You like the paint?
First off, I want to talk about. I do love when they announced the event. They did the video for the event and stuff.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
It was kind of cool.
Good timing.
I do like that. No person can claim moral superiority for choosing any faction. They're all terrible lore-wise, and I love that. They're all just jerks.
Yeah, I'll bring up. You know what? Instead of bringing up the video, let me bring up the post, because I think it.
They have like their own taglines in each one, which is very fun. So
it makes it more clear what you're going for here. Citizens for Prosperity is fighting against everybody, I think. They're basically like, we want to be an independent UEE because the Citizens for Prosperity also hate aliens. They are also extremely anti-alien. They're
they're not as aggressive as Xenothreat are.
Yeah. And the thing that I just want to point, they called it Save Stanton Chapter 2 forever. So until I read this post, the entire time, I thought I was still killing slicers.
Okay,
I had no, because I don't read the mission text. So I just go, oh, what's the mission telling me to do? It's telling me to go kill something over there. Okay, let me go do that, because I only really cared about the rewards. But now you know how I've always said, like, there's no narrative? Unfortunately, the narrative's on the website and in the mission text, right? But when you do read it, you're like, oh, okay, I see what you're going for here. That's kind of cool, right? Like I'm picking a side in Pyro of between these three sides and they're all fighting each other and I'm finding myself in the middle of it. That's kind of cool. So I just wanted to point that out, that I, went completely over my head during the PTU, but now I understand what they were going for, right? Skips all the cutscenes. And then says the game had no story. If they actually gave me the cutscenes, I would know their stories. Okay, listen.
It would be
picture books are for me. Reading it might be for you. Okay, I need the picture books. Okay, that's what I want.
It would be cool if they had more, like voice lines about this specific fight, happening around and stuff.
Yep.
So the reason that I chose Freedom Fighters though was a bit more of a tactical one, because Freedom Fighters don't have regular missions in Pyro. As far as I'm aware, that is still the case.
Correct.
Whereas Headhunters and Citizens for Prosperity do. So if I do the Freedom Fighters mission and I tank my reputation with the other two, theoretically I should be able to get that back after the event.
Yep.
So that was my my idea.
I definitely lost rep. I did not lose rep phase 1 Citizens for Prosperity because it's just cargo missions. I did lose rep doing Freedom Fighters because their tagline is kill them all. And I did. So yes, I lost rep for both factions, I believe. And Headhunters, I think I only lost it for Freedom Fighters. I'm not really sure on that one. But yeah, so for people who aren't familiar, Citizens for Prosperity, phase 1 is just cargo deliveries. Really simple, but really annoying because they're making you do a lot of travel. So I highly suggest doing this task is accept the mission. All the other missions will disappear. Typically, wait a couple minutes. They'll reappear and hope you're getting them to similar places. I actually had one go to Megumi, which is right next to the Stanton gate. So that was a quick and easy one. And you're not going to a location down on the surface where you might deal with, players and things like that being insane. I had the most awesome and frustrating player interaction I've ever had in my entire life. It was so cool. I was doing Citizens. I was on my second to last run. I had 2 drop-offs at the same place. I get out of my ship. I hear da-doof, doof, da-doof. I'm down. So it was a scalpel. Bang, hit me twice. I was done. And I hear them coming up, and VoIP works. And I go,
love it,
dude. Take all my weapons. If you can get me up and just let me finish this mission, that would be awesome. And I'll just go on my way. And they get me up, they kill me again. They get me up, they kill me. They get me up, they kill me. They get me up, they start throwing stuff at me. And they're screwing with me the whole time. RPing, like, this is Pyro, man, you stay out and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, dude. Like, when they started killing me over and over again, I even said it on stream. I was like, all right, now we're kind of bordering harassment here. This is getting a little ridiculous. But I pleaded, and then eventually, here's what we came to, is we're going to do a fist fight. There was 2 guys versus me. I was going to fist fight one of them. Whoever wins, if I lose, I die. If I win, I get to leave. And I won, and I got to leave. It was awesome. It was awesome. They played along, and I played along with them. It was frustrating, but some people wanted to play that way. I went along with them, and I was able to not end up losing my missions. And it was one of the reasons why I finished CFP. And sometimes you just got to play along with people, and yeah, it was cool. So I got it all done. So CFP was that way. Headhunters was either kill a ship, which was really challenging as a solo, or go down to a bunker. That was also challenging. Go down to a remote outpost. So it's not at the main locations. A lot of them you can't even quantum travel to. And there are ships in the air defending the location. So you, if you have a starter ship, have to go through those. That was really challenging. I was able to take my Ardor repeaters and put them on my cutter. And that allowed me to get through those ships because it tripled my DPS and I was able to get through them and get down to the surface and complete that. And then freedom fighters, I'm assuming you were doing the blowing up the fuel.
The 2 starter missions, one of them is blow up fuel, one of them is just like a
Kill
regular,
everything,
like,
right?
eliminate all mission.
Mhm.
They can be either on asteroid bases or on ground, both types.
Yep. I did mostly the fuel ones because they were just easier. I had an Aurora,
Mhm.
so I was just like, I was struggling to kill the ships that were defending. So I was just like, let me go in. I'll shoot up these fuel pods and then get out of here while I'm taking damage. And that seemed to work for me. So yeah, I actually plan on having a guide of all those going up at some point.
Nice.
I just, yeah, it was just such a pain to get everything done. I finally got it done, and I'll share my experiences. So if and when you are able to play, you'll get through that stuff as quickly and easily as possible, and not miss your opportunity at the rewards, which we can finally show. There it is.
Yep.
That is the FPS weapon, which we had seen somewhere else. Somewhere else. Where did we see this before?
ISC.
ISC, yeah, it was awesome. So I want to bring that up
somewhere else.
No, I want to bring it up actually. See if I can find it, because we saw it like in action in ISC, which was really neat. Here we go.
It's basically a multi-tool turned SMG.
Yes, which is mega neat. I just got to remember the name of the ISC. Assuming it was just like pyro.
It was
weapons.
all guns. It was just like all pyro weapons. Because they also talked about the vault weapons. I can't remember what else they were talking about, but it was cool stuff. So that is a decent reward. I'm excited for that. I am excited for the skins as well, because I'm a bit of a slut for skins for the most part. So we'll see how they look actually in game, because I imagine they won't get attributed until the whole mission's like over.
Well, they show them on the Spectrum post, so you could see pretty well how they look in game. I'll bring them up here. I can't find the posts that easily, so instead of stalling the pod for too long, this is CFP, so you can make your choices here as well. Zooming in a little bit maybe might make life easier for people. But you got Carrick, C8, Cutter, Zeus are the ships that you're getting. And that's CFP, so it's red and black. You got your Headhunters, which I'm not a big purple fan.
Not a shade of purple.
That is a cool shade of purple and looks really good. Oh, Frosty found it already. Okay, so I'll grab that link from you, Frosty, in just a second. And then the Freedom Fighters are your camo, which also looks pretty cool, but not really my style. And then here, apparently,
I really like a lot of camo skins, but that one is a lot more unique than some of the ones we've had in the past, so I don't hate it.
That was did the guy who linked this, was that Volt guy? Because it went straight to the Volt instead of the SMG. Here's the SMG.
Yeah.
Volt guy linked this the post, but yeah, so that's how it looks. And it looked like it was pretty much ready to go back then, and it's just been waiting for this. I think
the only thing is that when they show it, I think the shooting animation was a replacement.
Oh, okay, that's what I wanted to see.
I don't think we've actually seen it shoot in action, because I think it's literally just the like mining laser animation.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's what it is.
I mean, that'd be cool. Yeah. So if you watch here, it's like just the mining laser animation, sort of. So it's probably gotten touched up quite a bit.
Yeah, there really shows it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll see what it actually looks like pretty soon. And this was one of the big things that we were asking, where is it in 4.0? Because they made a big deal out of these weapons at the end of last year. So here it is. It's going to be 4.0.1.
We get one.
We got one of them.
We get one of the 30 that they showed, but okay.
Yeah, and hopefully we get the others in 4.0.2, because I don't remember where it was, but they did mention that as a patch that is going to happen.
Yeah, like immediately. I think it was Wikipedia, like immediately after 4.0.1 dropped, they were like, we're already working on 4.0.2. And it was just like, why didn't we just wait for 4.0.2 and call it 4.0.1? But okay. I don't know. Where do you want to go next with this stuff?
From there, I've been like listening to the community over the last few days. There is big salt in the air about this patch. Like even from me, like I am very, very disappointed this week. And it seems like more people are than normal. And so sort of coming out from that, there was the post by Terada that he made that I think echoes a lot of concerns the community has. Whether you personally out there agree with it or not, the community does feel a lot of these things.
Can anyone from Twitch
and it
chat
was,
link
yeah.
me the Terada post? That was one of the only things I didn't have, please, if you don't mind.
So yeah, he went over a lot of his concerns and concerns that he feels some of the community have. And then about a day later, we also got a post from Zyloh that talked
Yeah.
a lot about the issues that the current patch has, as well as announcing this, which, as far as I'm aware, they have never done.
No, ever.
Which is canceling the free fly.
Never ever done. I guess I'll zoom out from it a little bit. With that in mind, we have made the decision to forgo the Red Festival free fly. This reinforces what we said in December. Star Citizen needs to work, and it needs to work well. Right now, our focus is on continued hotfixes and subsequent patches to bring the experience to a much better place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love this. I still would have liked to have seen 4.01 not release.
Yeah.
Because
you can't say that.
Sort of
That's salty. I got so much shit
true.
for going, like, okay, like, glad you figured it out now. What happened when we were begging you not to do it a week ago? What happened when we were begging you not to release 4.0? Like, it's I want to praise good behavior. I do. But it's so hard to read text and listen to people from the company say that they've learned their lessons when it's a lot of the actions are hard to recognize if they have or if they haven't yet. I'll let you continue. Like, what are you feeling else on this?
For CIG, this is literally a money-losing decision, which speaks a lot to... It is. They lose a lot of money by not doing free flies, just in general. Now, they could have weighed the, like, pros and cons. Like, there's probably a conversation that they had about, like, well, will we make that much money if the servers aren't performing as well?
They did a free fly in 318
and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe it didn't matter that much. Maybe they were okay with making that decision, but yeah, regardless, I'm really happy that they did it. Free flies at the start of the year, I do want to say, tend to be mostly okay. Like, we're not looking at an IA or a Invictus, but I do imagine it would have had a drastic impact over the course of the next few days.
Yeah, but this is 4.0, like, so beginning, like, we're not on the 3 brand. Like, there's so much has changed. That doesn't matter what time of year it is. Things are just unstable right now, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah. Like, a very small increase in the player count could make things even more miserable, like significantly more miserable. So, yeah, very happy they did it. They did still release the MISC Fortune, which we'll get to in a sec. That'll probably be the next topic. But yeah, cool. I do think this will... Well, I'm hoping that next patch that we have that's really terrible. My prediction, 4.2. For some reason, 4.1 is going to be good, and who knows. But anyway, the next time this happens, do this again. Give it some more time to cook, even on live. Then do your free fly. See where you're at. Like this free fly was going to start. Yeah, this free fly was going to start 2 to 3 days after the patch came out. It's way too soon. If you gave it that time to cook, you can reevaluate and then decide if you're actually going to make money by doing it.
And also give your dev team the opportunity to be like, okay, we have, put these things out at scale. Stuff happened, but we can address it. And then they're able to address it. And then you're ready for your free fly when it scales up even more. And things might not be that bad. But so again, very good decision. Nobody's knocking the decision. I watched a video today. I'm going to post it on my React channel right after the podcast, of me watching Chris Roberts in 2018 CitizenCon saying they had an epiphany that they want the game to play better and they need to focus on playability and gameplay. And it was me reacting in 2021, laughing at it. And then I just reacted in 2025, laughing at myself, laughing at Chris Roberts in 318. Because it's just, that's how much weight something like this really has. You can't write a whole thing. This doesn't mean anything to me. Your actions mean something, and their actions after 3 in 2018 did not
Mhm.
change. Their actions after 318 did not change enough. Their actions
Yeah.
have changed here. So my only take on this is we have seen a lot of people at the company leave, be let
Mhm.
go, or whatever happened. Some of those people in incredibly high positions, like chief marketing director, apparently, and we're seeing a marketing event be removed
Mhm.
or be taken away. Whereas
Yeah.
if that person was still there, I don't want to
Maybe that
speculate,
wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
but maybe that wouldn't have happened. So the way I'm looking at this might be something that internally inside the company, something is changing. Whether that
That'd be
affects
interesting.
us enough, I don't
Mhm.
know. Their actions have to show that going forward. But I am not going to you know bring out a parade for you for canceling a free fly when when
Yeah.
3 days earlier you released a patch that wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But I will praise this decision.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where I'll leave it, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. Pretty
they
much.
then before we move on though, they do then go on to say these are all the major issues that we
Yeah.
have, and these are the ones that we got our best people on it, and blah 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 blah. I think this is a little dangerous communication, and probably should have not be in here, because this seems like you're trying to put water on the fire, but what you're actually doing is giving us fuel in about 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, when none of these or some of these aren't fixed.
Mm.
Because you don't know if the elevators are going to be
Yeah.
fixed. You don't know when the transit refactor is going to be done, and
Yep.
so on and so forth, right? So the mission refactor, tons of struggling. Saying you're fixing
Yep.
quantum travel in the star map, what a joke at this point, right? LTP has never worked, ever
Yep.
worked. So you're telling me that this is, something that's going to be possible. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're making me think that you actually are going to fix these things because now you're actually paying attention to them when you weren't. They were always
Mhm.
band-aiding these things. They're continuing to band-aid them until something actually changes and they really fix them. It's all going to be the
Yep.
same. And so that was the end of the post. I just wanted to make sure we pointed that out, as well as I think they're trying to help. They're trying to do the right thing. Zyloh is trying to do the right thing, but I don't think this one's going to land very well for
Yeah.
them at all.
The other important thing about this post is just right at the end of
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
first section,
yeah. Forgot
where
about
they
this.
talk about the first SCL of the year, which is, I assume, the first one,
February
assuming we don't get one
6th.
this
It
coming
is
week.
not
Yeah.
it's an SCL,
Oh,
but
no,
it's
this
on
coming week. Yeah.
Thursday. So that means no ISC.
Yeah. Yeah. But 2 hour long SCL
Mhm.
with Benoit, talking about specifically, uh, talking about the issues covered above, what's causing them, what's being done, and how our feature and stability plans for
Yep.
2025 marketing talk. But like what they're going to do this year, right? So
Well, with him,
yeah.
it feels like, okay, so typically it is marketing talk, but do you
I just mean
remember?
this paragraph, that last like sentence is very marketing talk about like we're
Oh,
gonna improve it,
understood.
but realistically, it'll be Benoit just saying this is what we're gonna do over the course of the year.
But the difference between
Yeah.
Benoit talking and anybody else who's
Mhm.
ever really come on cam is Benoit came in while we were in the middle of the server meshing tests and they were not going
Yep.
well. And he said,
Yep.
this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to fix. And this is what we're trying to achieve. And they did
Mhm.
all of those things for the most part.
Yep.
Right. And we ended up jumping through jump points with 500 players and saying a lot of good things about the situation that we were in hopes that the gameplay was going to follow and it was going to be enjoyable, and
Yeah.
CZs weren't going to break and all the crap that we're dealing with now. But when he comes on camera in comparison to a Chris Roberts coming on camera, it means a lot more because he doesn't bullshit and he doesn't overpromise, at least in our experience with him so far. So 2 hours of honesty, down to earth, explaining it in a way that we can understand it, which is what he's done in the past, is a really exciting episode, and I'm super looking forward to it. Whereas if it was
should be
Chris
fun.
Roberts, I would be like, all right, here we go again. Who cares? Right? So it's a big one. This is a big deal.
Yep.
But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in there. you want to talk about spaceships now, since that's all we really got?
Yeah, let's get excited. We got a new spaceship, everyone. Get your
We had an
wallets out.
ISC, kind
This
of.
Oh yeah, true. Yes, we have a new monthly series
Yeah.
starting this year, this past week with the MISC Fortune, which is basically they're going to do like a monthly ship talk kinda.
Which just
Yeah.
feels like the vibe that it gave, outside of like Jared intro and outro, the vibe
Hmm.
that it gave was an ISC segment about a ship sale. So now it's
Yep.
like maybe keeping ISC focused on the game and separating these out for their ship
Hmm.
sales and letting people know if the ship is for them, the one that they're talking about. Now, I don't think it's just going to be for ship sales. I think it's going to be for ships that are in development and so on and so forth, just to let you see them and the process that they're in. And every month they can take it whatever path that they feel like
Yeah.
going, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it was good.
Um.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think the ship is amazing, but the the
Yeah.
format is what we're used to, and it works, and it was good.
Yeah, it was nice. They went through a lot of their like design decisions that they had, and like one of my big things is like they wanted to talk about how they want to differentiate it from the Vulture.
Yeah,
Whether or not that means it is a good ship is a different thing,
yeah, or that was a
and
good
and will be
decision.
like balance related. Yeah, but the fact that that is a priority, they wanted to make it different was very cool. And yeah, it was a good little video, good one to start off the year because this is our first video content we've received from CIG for 2025.
Yep.
Um,
And if
yeah, a lot. Yeah.
if they don't, I'm like doing the reacting where I pause. If they don't, if how do I phrase this? I'm struggling to put my words together, but what these can be is, when ISC isn't available for that week or
Mhm.
they're gone, like these fill in that gap.
Yeah.
That could be a thing that happens. Like that's what just happened this week. We had
Yep.
ISC like content and it was so nice, even though
Mhm.
they're not ready to deliver an ISC to us yet. Next week,
Yeah.
we have a 2-hour episode of SCL. That is more content than we're used to having in a given week. So that
Mhm.
fills that. And I mean, we started this podcast a year ago and all we did was praise their ability to deliver something to keep us interested in the game, whether it was
Yeah.
the game itself or the content that they were sharing on the YouTube page. So this
Mhm.
continues with that. And again, I want to give them kudos when they do good things, and this is a really good idea, and I think it's going to work out really well for them.
Yep.
Which is good.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good video content. Now onto the ship itself.
Yeah.
Design wise, awesome. I do hate MISC ships, like aesthetically, but I
But
can appreciate
n-
like how cool it is and what they've
knowing
done,
what you
right?
know about the Prospector and seeing what they've done with this, it is
Yes.
like, do you hate the prospect? Like if the prospector starts working, like if I have a rear ramp that I can put my lasers in, and
It's just
like,
so ugly, Mike. It's just so ugly.
yeah, you know what?
On purpose, which is why I kind of like it.
I
Like I
I
like
I
that
don't think
MISC
it's
have that like
ugly.
on purpose ugly. Well, you're wrong. And
That's fine.
I will say it does weirdly look better than the Prospector. I think because the Prospector just has the like
The bags, maybe.
the bags are a bit strange looking. Yeah, when you compare it to this, it's a lot more sleek, I guess. Where the cargo sits and whatnot. Love the interior. I think they did a great job with the interior, and it
Yep.
makes me want that for the Prospector. Um, but otherwise, yeah, it was basically just like a much more updated Prospector. I think slightly they also did like a couple of things to the whole like the windshield is like a little bit different, but you still get all of the big range that you can
Hmm.
see, or all the big view that you can see. Um, it's easy to use, which is once again kind of what you've been saying for the last year, Mike, where they've started to make ships how people get the game, right?
Yeah.
Where it's actually taking that into account. So all of that was pretty good.
Can
Yeah,
I point
design
something out
wise,
here?
all that stuff. Yeah. Yep.
What which ship has the bigger cross section in its stats, do you think?
I mean, in terms of like actual size, the Vulture should,
It doesn't.
but the
Look
Vulture's
at
wider
I
and
know.
longer.
But look at this picture. Like, look at the picture. The Vulture is so
Yeah.
much bigger. The MISC has the bigger cross section and more health. I just found that a weird one. Fortune, for whatever
Yeah, that
reason,
shouldn't
has
be the
plus
case.
50% emissions, and it's just, yeah. is
well, like I think balance wise, which once again it'll all change when you go
Yeah.
into it. I do think that the Fortune should have like having a higher health pool is a good way to balance it. Having a higher cross section, not so much, but being like a more survivable version of the Vulture is like a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I mean, how much time have you had with it? Have you been playing with
none.
it a little bit?
I literally looked at the skins and that's it.
Oh
Salvaging
shit.
is not
Okay.
my big cup of tea. But I've been watching a lot of people. I've been hearing from a lot of people that it's still not great in comparison to the Vulture if you just want like maximum UEC per hour.
Yeah, like it just it's not even that. It like what I can only speak for my own opinion, and I like salvaging. I think it's super chill. I like the actual mechanic of hull scraping. I never thought I would, but I ended up really being drawn to it, and it's really nice. I like doing the panels. It's fun.
Yeah.
The moment you take that second laser away, you are reducing the most enjoyable aspect of the experience by such a significant amount that it makes it less fun, regardless of whatever convenience you think you're adding in the back of making it move, like, you know, moving the boxes less often or whatever. And there are a ton of, you know, we didn't think this through entirely with that as well, because basically I guess I'll leave it here. There's 6 1SCU boxes on each side, and one in the little area here. So you, instead of 13 SCU like the Vulture, you actually have 14 SCU. But the only way to get this one out is to leave the ship, pop out one, maybe put it on the back cargo grid, which is very cool as well, and then that one will pop out, and now your 14 buffer is clear. But whereas in the Vulture, it just sits there and you're able to interact with it, right? It's actually out. And then on top of that, again, once you have cleared all these off and you're going to drop off, I have to go back in the ship and so I have to go back in the ladder, go back up the elevator, go through the doors, and then open. So all this convenience that they think they're adding, they've actually added on a bunch of inconvenience as well in order to actually use the product that you're creating. So a lot of stuff that, like, we didn't really think this through. I still feel very strongly about what we've talked about in the past of I would love to see the ship be really good at structural salvage, while the Vulture is super good at RMC, like it already is. Like, there's no reason to take the Vulture and make it worse, because I think they spent so much time and love, and they made a really, really fun mechanic that people really, really enjoy. And you should just find a way to bring this ship into that fold in some way. I don't care what it is, right? If it's my idea or if it's another idea, I always assume they have better ideas than what I have. But I want to really point out that you should be highlighting the enjoyable things, and you shouldn't be trying to focus on solving the one thing that you already solved with the buffer system. And that was moving the boxes too much, right? So, like, I don't see too many people complaining about the current Vulture in comparison to the Vulture that they complained about before the buffer system existed. So it's, it just, I don't think they understood the assignment, maybe, or something like that. Like, it's, there's so much opportunity here still, and it's not out of the woods. Like, they can do it. It's just,
a lot of what you're talking about, I feel like gets fixed with balancing.
Yep.
It just depends on how where they go with it. The big thing I want to put once again in everyone's mind, and I do this every time they release a ship that is objectively worse than another ship at the moment.
Yes, remember this.
Remember this ship the next time we get another objectively better ship. This does happen. We just forget about it a lot. And this happens in literally every video game. So remember it. Yeah.
Okay. I also see a comment of, you know, this is only bad if you're a min-maxer. And again, that's why I'm taking the approach that I'm taking. It is objectively less enjoyable. on the screen how fast the salvage is, like visually and pace and like 0 alpha UEC per hour discussions that I've had here so far. 0.
Yeah.
It is the gameplay that is less enjoyable with the ship itself, and the things that they think that they're solving, they've created other problems alongside of it. And I want to make that very, very clear, is that I am not doing the min-maxing thing. If you do the min-maxing thing, it is very obvious that this ship is significantly worse. But I'm just speaking from if you are designing a game, games are meant to be fun, games are meant to be enjoyable. This one is less fun. What percentage less fun is different for each person. And that's that. I think it's pretty simple from that point for me. I guess we didn't talk about the price or show the skins, so we could do that.
So price-wise is pretty comparable to a
ever
Vulture
as well. They have the best skin ever.
Really? You reckon it's the best skin ever? Even better than the graffiti skins?
You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
Let's go.
Yeah. It's the Valkyrie Liberator skin.
Yes, dude, it's so good. I never thought I would love this. I love this skin. It's so good. But yeah, let's go to what you were saying, the actual thing that people care about. It's the same price as the Vulture as well. That's another thing. When you're spending $175 on something, you don't want it to be worse than something else. Yeah, you don't want it to be worse than something else.
I was never able to confirm, are the skins swappable with the Prospector or no?
They are not. They are not. And
cringe.
No update to the internals of the Prospector to be like this ship.
Yeah.
But come engineering, you almost think they have to. So, I mean, that's, if we get anything positive, if the Fortune never gets better, hopefully they change the internals of the Prospector just based off of this. Because the interior, like you pointed out, is really, really, really good. Really good. So I just hope they go there with that. I think they have
nice
like a little cross section of the internals.
Yeah. It's also nice just to go up the ramp instead of the really like silly looking stairs on the side, ladder on the side, which was like 30 feet tall, and you've got to like fully climb up it.
The elevator in the back is just perfect, and it's just you just, oh my god, I said it earlier, but just thinking about lasers, a crate of attachments for your laser, gadgets, and you just bring it down, you go, and it's just so smooth. Oh, it's just it's one of those things where a legacy ship, lessons learned from us playing it, and they did it so much better. Just bring it to that legacy ship would be fantastic. Oh my god. Yeah. I love the Prospector, so I would love to see it get better, but overall, I've been using the ship a lot. I don't hate it, but the moment I bring out the Vulture, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is again. So much nicer. And it's just like, damn, I really wanted to love this thing. Structural salvage wise, one thing interesting that I do want to point out, I need to do a lot more testing with it versus the Vulture. You know how when you structurally salvage a ship, it breaks up and you go to disintegrate it, and like you're going for the big piece, but you grab like 4 other pieces at the same time. And you're like, damn, those were negative 19%. Like I didn't get as much as I could. That doesn't appear to be happening as much with this because it's just the one laser. And I for whatever reason, it seems to be like a smaller cone, and I'm able to focus in on things a little bit easier without having a tractor beam stuff around. So if I'm able to get bonus material, and we know that they're changing structural salvage, don't exactly know how. I rewatched the SCL today on stream. It's a little unclear on what direction they're going. But regardless, it might be easier to get bonus here, like up to 15% more material. That's a lot when you think about it pretty easily. So I need to do more to confirm that this is what's happening. Basically more with the Vulture and see if I'm able to focus in, but that could be what is special about the ship and what is better and whatever. So we'll have to see, but
Mhm.
there could be an advantage to only having the one laser, because it does seem to be a cone coming right out of the laser, even though that's not what is um, doing the actual disintegration. Or it's those two things
Sure.
on the side, which I'll bring up there, like you kind of see them right here,
Yeah.
there, and there. But for whatever reason, wherever I place the laser, that seems to be determining the bonus. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Very interesting.
yeah. But again, game bad, game's not working, and it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to enjoy anything at the moment. I sent many SCU down the elevator, and I'm not sure if it made it there today. I had a full buffer on my Fortune, and it just decided that it was going to freeze in the middle of delivering a box, and no more
Yep.
boxes came out, and I had to claim the ship. 9 SCU of RMC just disappeared basically there.
Yeah.
So tons and tons of issues around this still. They got to fix the game, and that's it. It's like
Yep.
every aspect of the game is completely broken. There's a miner that I like to watch. Rocks aren't showing up. They're not able to find them, and it's just like every aspect of the game seems incredibly broken right now. And
Yeah. It's like the buggiest I've seen Star Citizen in a while. Like if I'm not considering, like 30Ks from like back in the day.
that stability.
It
So like
feels
318, that kind of stuff. Like let's ignore that. But in terms of like amount of bugs you experience per minute, it's like one.
Yeah.
When it
Which
should
is
be
far too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those bugs just make it completely unplayable. You just can't. I've heard as well. Some people can't even log in. They're
Yeah.
still having problems actually getting into the game at
Getting
all.
through the character
So,
creator. Like,
yeah.
it's bad, dude. I've never heard you like this before. I've never.
I'm really disincentivized.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted to play, and
Yep.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
And that sucks so much.
And I feel like
that makes me mad.
I feel like it's worse than 318 because you can get into the game, and it's like it's right there,
Yeah.
but I can't reach it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was even moments during 318 where when I could get in, like a week or so after, I could just play a lot of things. Like there was a lot of things I could do. I can't even get out of stations.
Yeah.
Like, it's
told them this.
completely game breaking.
We told you, like I don't feel bad. Like if the community goes in hard on them and they start pulling the like, oh guys, game development's hard. It's like, bro, we told you the transit refactor not being in 4.0 was going to be a huge problem, and here we are. And they're like, oh, we just had an epiphany that, maybe the transit refactor would be a smart thing to do. It's like, bro, come on. Like, I'm not a game dev and I could see this. Why are you struggling so much to see this? And again, hopefully what change we're seeing with them canceling the free fly and why we know whatever changes are happening internally are things that are going to see those things without us having to tell you. Right. And then without us having to tell you and you ignoring it. And and that'll be really nice. Like I still feel like we can salvage this thing and it'll be okay, but it's just how long, how difficult, and how unfun will our experience be over the next not weeks but months at this point, right? There's a lot of bugs to fix.
It's extra feel bad too. From my experiences and from most people I've heard, except for you, Mike, who got lucky, was able to do all 3 missions with the reputation.
Let's go.
It was like the fact that it was like, all right, 4.0 is scuffed. There's still some things you can do with it, but it's kind of scuffed. These things aren't working consistently, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then 4.01 was worse day one than 4.0 was for at least myself and a lot of other people.
Because it wasn't released.
That was the super extra feel bad.
Yeah, it wasn't released to fix the game. It was released to hit. I don't even think it was necessarily released to sell the Fortune. I think it was released because you want to do your update for your in-game like holiday on the day that the actual holiday exists, right? Like everyone wants to do their Lunar New Year stuff because it's Lunar New Year right now, so it would be hard not to do it. And like obviously they threw a ship sale on top of it, Fortune and all, it makes sense for the event, but at the same time it just looks bad, bro. Looks bad.
Yeah. There's also like I can also respect a likely motivator for them to release it, which was we had 3 different branches going at the same time. We had 324 live, 4.0 preview, 4.0.1
Yeah.
PTU. I've got to imagine the player count was stretched pretty thin to the point where, yeah, it was probably a lot harder for them to replicate a lot of bugs. The punishment, unfortunately, for that is we get shat on and we can't play the game right now. You know,
Yeah.
so
And it's just not fun. And here we are.
yeah.
But I don't
Look,
know.
there's a new Magic the Gathering set coming out on Friday. I'm set, so I just need Star Citizen to do their thing, and I'll my highs will still be there, and I'll be back.
Nice. I mean, I'm getting to the point where it's like, all right, I think we're playing other games now.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Like I'm waiting for, I guess, saves or fight for Pyro Part 2, and that's where I'm at. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time. Like what I do play of Star Citizen over the next few weeks is probably gonna have to like I'll get back into racing a little bit. Also, just because it's kind of the season.
Gravlev's
It is a
back.
big racing season. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, maybe we could
it
do that.
might just be time to smash my head into the wall that is Cleo Islands over and over and over again, and try to PB because I do enjoy doing that.
Yeah, it's been a while. I need to dust off my sticks and jump back in there and see if I can get back on the leaderboards because that was super fun. But all right, I'm ready for callers if you are.
Yeah, 100%. If you guys want to call in, if you are on Twitch chat, you can go !podcast, follow the link, go into the green room, and jump into a room. We've got room. Oh, might not have any more room, but I'll continue going. Jump into the green room, and then we'll get you guys to call in about any topics we're talking about today or adjacent topics. If you are on YouTube, it is linked up the top there. Yeah, call in.
Yeah. So our first caller, you're already in here. Hello, Space. Figured we'd give you the.
How you doing? Can you
the
hear me
heads up.
properly? Because I have a new mic that I'm testing out now.
It sounds really good.
Sounds good.
Ah, that's awesome. Hope you're doing well, despite all the bugginess of the patch. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, as I said before the podcast, I went 4-0 in my Magic tournament today, so I am still hype as hell.
Okay. That's good to know. I think I brought 3 topics with me. One would be like the fortune stuff. I looked at I never played it, but I looked at it and I thought maybe it's more of a L compared to a W. So the convenience stuff, it's a nice idea, but I don't know if they hit the mark with that.
It just doesn't make up for the, like, when salvaging only is RMC, which is what it is now, it is hard to recognize whatever value they're trying to create by this convenience thing.
Yeah.
I think for like a min-max player, like I am a little bit, it's also an L because it's like putting the boxes inside the ship while they were outside before is a mess. Because you also, I saw a video that you don't even get the box properly through the door after you put them on the elevators. Like, okay, you put in the 4 boxes, but further than that, no way. It's a hassle.
You can, yeah. It's so they stated in their Q&A, which I could bring up, that you can fit an additional 18 SCU in the ship, but in classic CIG style, nobody tested it. So they just said that based on metrics, I think, and well, because the Vulture can do 39 SCU, so they're stating that this ship can do literally 47 SCU, but it can't. The most I've seen anybody fit in there is 38, so it doesn't even do what the Vulture would do, but they're trying to tell you otherwise. So don't listen to this at all, because this is actually not the case. And it's pretty disappointing that, you know, again, you really want these people to play the game and at least do the due diligence this much, and they just didn't. And that one upset me for sure, because this one is like, hey, it you could have highlighted the fact that it's like, all right, it's 12 SCU or 6 SCU, 6 SCU, 1 each in the buffer, 14 plus 4 in the back is 18. Maybe that's what they meant, and there's some miscommunication. But Yeah, it is not that easy to fit it in. And if we're talking about, hey, I want to fit more RMC on my ship, you also don't want it to take forever. And good luck getting all those boxes fitted in really nicely, right? So it's not like the Vulture where it's just a box and you're able to just get your 39 in, line them up, done, super easy. It just isn't like that. So once again, all this convenience talk, it's not convenient. It just isn't.
There's a scenario where I think it could be a bit more fun than the Vulture is when you go out with like 2-3 people, like 2 maybe in the Fortune, or 1 in the Fortune and 1 in the cargo ship, and you have like your little own operation, and then you just pop in, somebody transfers the cargo stuff and flies off and sells it, while the others just continue to salvage. I think that's a scenario where it's more fun compared to the Vulture, but I think that's the only one.
I want to see what it's like running a Fortune with a hull A. Just pulling off, because you can basically, it's just endless. Like, you don't have to care about the internal buffer anymore. As long as they're pulling out faster than you're making them, and you never get stopped, you never have to get out of your chair, which is pretty sick. Or they could just, I don't know, it might get a little messy at times, but it's possible to just always be salvaging, which is a little bit more difficult in the Vulture. So there's a chance that there is some convenience there in group play, but that's one thing I haven't tested enough just yet.
I wonder where, if how, or if at all, they're thinking about this in regards to crafting changes, well, crafting in general, I guess, and material quality changes and whatnot. One thing I would love to see is, like, let's say the Fortune, because you are using one laser and all of the power of the ship is going to that one laser, I would imagine it should be able to get like a more accurate and like maybe high quality amount of material, if that makes sense. Versus the Vulture, where it's like, you're because you've got 2 lasers, you're getting a bit of scuff. You're still gonna get stuff faster, but like you're scuffing it a bit. You're getting some less high material.
I mean, you say the buzzword, right, is higher quality, and we know that's the direction that the game wants to go. That's that's another opportunity that if they want to take it that direction, they can. 2 lasers, burning off some quality or burning off more material, maybe something like that, where I salvage a panel. A panel's about, like, a big panel's about 9 SCU. What if the Vulture would get 10 SCU out of it, right? Because it burns off less depending on the laser that you're using. Whatever you want to say, they actually do that with the Reclaimer, so they're already doing that. So it's an option they can go. Somebody in Twitch chat said the easy fix is just to, well, if anybody's used the hull A, it's got 2 layers of boxes. So instead of 6 on each side, it would be 12 on each side. I believe that would make the Fortune the meta and the go-to, and I don't think that's what they're really trying to achieve at that point, because even if it is slower, now you have gained the convenience advantage over the Vulture, but I think it becomes significantly over the Vulture at that point. No way to test it, unfortunately, but it would be interesting if they did do that to see what would happen. I'm sure they did it internally, and they went with the 6 for a reason, but I don't know.
I also thought about that, and I thought maybe it would be a bit more attractive to the min-maxes if you don't have only 3 rows of 2 boxes, but 4. So instead of having 12, maybe 14 SCU. But I don't know.
Yeah, I still
that could
feel
be a design clash, possibly. Because you're right. That could be an interesting addition, but that literally might just be a ship design clash that they're not able to do that.
I just feel so strongly about the structural salvage versus RMC, because then you have a reason to have both ships when you're playing. You're never choosing one over the other because I like the way it looks, or I prefer the convenience. Like, you're choosing both because they're both needed, and I really hope that's where they go. However,
which is what they said in the video. They want that to be the case.
Yeah,
they just weren't necessarily successful.
Exactly.
The patch.
Exactly. Like, let's ignore RMC as the only aspect of salvage.
Yeah.
and then kind of opens your eyes a little bit. But anything else you want to talk about, Space?
Yeah,
we-
just two
we did go on a bit.
remarks to the fortune at the end. One, I think it's the first flavor industrial ship we have because it is the first ship which has basically the same size, but just from a different manufacturer. Or I don't know.
Or
if I
Combat
missed
ships.
this one.
Yeah, combat ships have always been that way, but industrial wise, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so maybe that's the direction we see a bit more often in the future. It's like having the same size and the niche,
Yep.
or the profession, and then just getting a different ship for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
And the
that's what I
second
want.
one is, yeah, and the second one is I think they're also practicing or tried to test this automatic push out mechanism out for first the Arastra, which
Mhm.
looks like having it the same. Even being a mining ship, they will push out the boxes on the outside.
Yeah, up at the
And the
top,
second
right?
one,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
Croncy.
Sides, I thought, isn't it?
I can't remember.
Side and
But
top,
yeah.
I think both.
Oh, both. Okay.
And
that could be the case. Yeah, I don't think the Arastra is getting worked on at the moment, though. I think it's one of the I think you're still correct in that it's like we want this to be a system that we can put on ships in the future, like the Arastra, right? So what I would say is I extend it to we'll probably see this kind of feature more on other ships. Like maybe we'll get a Reclaimer variant, or Reclaimer competitor that has a similar sort of idea.
And not only in ships, I think it's also valid for the base building stuff for the extractors because
Yeah.
I think they will also stick with that in some way because they said they want to have a minimal interaction with the player, that the base is not running fully automatically, that the player has to interact, and doing it this way compared to having a one dispenser that you have to be on the side and wait until every box comes out and you have to put them on the side. I think it's the better way to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one other topic would be, I don't know if you remember that because I don't. I'm also not that long into Star Citizen. The long-term progression stuff that in every bigger patch, not major, but bigger patch, everything gets moved to your home location.
Yeah.
What is the reason behind it? Do you remember what the technical reason is behind it? Because I don't know if we still need that. Do we need that anymore? Like, why?
I don't know if it's
a
a need. I just think it's,
I think it's a
maybe
tech issue.
a limitation of whatever their systems use.
Yeah, but in my background, I mean, I'm in IT and development for I don't know two decades nearly. You have a database in the background where everything is stored. I mean, they have their graph database. And what hinders them, what stops them, just leave the database as it is and just put the new patch on it. It's like, that would be interesting to know what's the reason behind that, because I don't understand it at the moment.
Maybe
I would
maybe
assume-
we hear it in the 2-hour conversation with
That's true,
Benoit.
actually.
Honestly, that would be
Benoit
one
might
of
touch on
those
it.
things on that list. So we might hear it.
My assumption would be that because their plan is to not have resets, that it's not tech they want to bother working on. So it's like, just for now, all your stuff is going to get reset back. We're not going to work on making sure that those, like, the fact that I've got a gun at this ground station is like a copyable value or whatever for when you do your
I don't know.
your resets to the servers.
But at the same time, that mentality would be like, well, our database needs to never get corrupted and always know that those things are in that place. And if it does,
that'd be
it
the
needs
problem,
to be able to recover from that. And it doesn't appear to be able to do that. So it's like, I'm very curious now, even more, like, that might be the thing I pay attention to the most, actually, of all the things that come up in that 2-hour show. I think that was wondering my main.
I was wondering something similar, just in regards to, we've been talking a lot recently about, why do they not do weekly resets of servers and stuff like that, right? It feels like it would improve the game a lot today, and it's a thing you can do going forward. It's an industry staple, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like, one of the things is probably a weekly reset right now, the way the game is built, would do that. It would send all your stuff back to your home, reset your home base, do your character customization again.
Maybe.
And so that would be a massive issue.
I mean, they have to practice for that at some point, because looking for a 1.0 release, they have to be ready for that. And as soon as, or as early as you can start it, I would do it. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. I would say this is where we leave it, Space.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we've been going for
it's
about 10
fine.
minutes, and there's a lot of people in line.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah,
say
I was about to ask how many people are here, so that I don't
lot.
have to. All right. Then see you in 2 weeks, maybe. Let's see. I don't know yet.
All right, Space.
Sounds
Be
good.
good, brother. Thank you for your call as always. Sorry to cut you short, but yeah.
No
Yeah.
worries.
right,
It's
bro.
your show, your rules, as I always say.
Catch you later, dude.
Bye.
I know. All right, bringing in our next caller. That is Frosty. Frosty, can you hear us?
Frosty, how we doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
You okay?
Yeah. So I just want to touch on free fly and probably as a whole. So the free fly, it doesn't mean anything right now. It does not mean anything. Obviously, to compare, it's a very major free fly. So it doesn't really dent their funding at all because right now they're up basically 44% than there was last year in January. So it doesn't matter.
There was no ship release last January, but saying it doesn't
Well,
matter
yeah, but-
is saying it doesn't matter is I think a bad faith argument because it really does. While they don't need to necessarily make a ton of money from a free fly, what they do make is new players that then start to spend money over the course of a year. The canceling a free flight means you're going to get less new players, less new customers, like this month. That is huge. The fact that they do that is massive.
Well, yeah, but to counter that, they have a free fly in May for Invictus Launch Week, which
That's
they normally
5
do
months
anyway.
Like it's still, I think.
Well, yeah, but
I guess it just
this is what I'm trying to say. Like,
yeah,
their major stuff where they do the free flight would be major ship sales, which would be IE and Invictus Launch Week. It doesn't. Obviously, it still makes an issue, but it's not much. It's not a major issue. If you see where I'm coming from.
I can jump in the middle of you two just a little bit and say the impact of a free fly and so I'll be like kind of right in between you guys with my argument is significantly less impactful today in 2025 than it was in 2021. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So it is less meaningful. It doesn't mean nothing, but it is less meaningful to cancel a free fly in 2025 than it is to cancel it when they should have been canceling it a few years ago.
Yeah.
So because we've all seen the numbers. Morph's made the videos. Other people have made videos about the lack of new player acquisition over the last year. It just generally means that a free fly is less impactful today, and would have been actually impactful is what you wanted, Croncy, and you said at the beginning was not to release the patch in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been the real impact. But I think I'm right in between.
I might go
you
one
guys.
further, and because maybe I sort of do understand what Frosty is saying. Like, are you saying like if they were to cancel an Invictus free fly or an IE free fly, that's when we know CIG are like, holy shit, like.
Basically, because that's where they make the more money from. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But right now, it's not really as impactful. But but until they actually do that, it's not really they did this, let's praise them, etc. It doesn't mean anything until they actually do it. Again, actions speak louder than words, and all they've been doing is talking. So. I don't
know. Once again, you're still like
they did cancel the free fly. That was an action.
I think while you're saying that, like what I'm hearing from you is like there could be significantly higher and more impactful things that they could do over the course of the year that would say that. But I still think you're not giving quite enough credit to this. Like they have never done this before. They have never said no to money before. Which, well, at least publicly. There could always be ship sales that never went out or whatever, but that's the big thing. The other implication is like now that they have done it, if we're in a similar situation for Invictus, there's precedent. They could do it again if it's necessary. So it is a little bit more impactful, I think, than you're giving credit for.
Yeah, I guess that's just how I see it really, but I see where we're both coming from, but just to go on to the patch as a whole, we all agree it was stupid to send it out in the condition that it was, and I will say this is probably going to come out harsh as I go on, but it's probably the issue that I have is how they do these builds over into the in the PTU. I think there's an issue where they're leaving out a massive bulk of their player base where people are testing, because obviously we all know the dev stuff comes from Austin studio, and by the time they build a build and it pushes out, people in the UK and EU, it's going to be it's always very late for them. So, hypothetical, if they moved it to Manchester and they release, again, hypothetical, they release it 6 p.m., you're still leaving a good chunk of time for people in the US to test. People in the UK and EU are having a reasonable time to test. But I don't know what the time would be in Aussie time. But yeah,
it tends to be like bad for me because I'm a degenerate, but good for most Australians in terms of time wise. Yeah,
because you like got like 3 time zones. But anyway, so I think that for efficiency and for because by the time people are say in the UK and EU, by the time they wake up, they've gone to work, come back, they're already building a new build, so they haven't been testing properly. For CIG to be like, the issue isn't people doing issue council reports bad or you're not giving enough info. It's because they don't have enough people to test in the first place.
Yeah, I think one of the most impactful things from Terada's post was every time I looked at the server, there was nobody playing. And you did a new build every night, pretty much, and the impact of those builds were too small, and the fixes weren't in, and nobody saw a reason to play, number one. And number two was, like you said, the timing of everything is so weird. I find it so weird to push out a patch at 8 p.m. Eastern time, where like even Americans are starting to like wind down for the night. I mean, that's prime time. I don't know. Maybe I just go to bed too early and I'm super old. But the that still isn't like 5 p.m. I just got home from work. I'm gonna play a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then Europeans have already gone to bed. So it's like you just lost a large chunk of your player base. Like I know Asians, Australians, like sorry, but I imagine the bigger chunk of the player base is in that
US
section of the world, right?
Yeah.
So it's just
sure.
like
100%.
If you're going to try to test concurrency, which is a huge part of the testing that they need to do now, especially when servers have 500 players, it's meaningful. Like this stuff matters, and they're not hitting the mark on that one either, right? So
that'd be an ISC that I would actually really like to see this year. Is like I would love to hear a little bit more about their structure of QA, the challenges that they have by having the people in charge of doing the patches in Texas and why that's a thing, rather than it being consolidated in Europe and all that stuff. Because it's got to be, there's something there that's more than just we want it to be American time, right?
It's not like, think about it. Just okay, the EU studios are gone. They're asleep. The NA studio, it's 7 p.m. You're not even supposed to be at work anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. My argument.
Whoa! Slow down, everybody. This is a big announcement that everybody that's not myself or Croncy, content creator wise, is going to hate me for. Sorry, but Proxys just said in chat, and I hope this goes everywhere, gets put on Reddit and everything. Getting patches out earlier in the day, as we used to do, is a key objective right now. So there you go. Nice. You heard it here first. But hate me. I'm sorry, but be happy with the news.
That is a good thing, but I'll just say, obviously, having DevOps, etc., in the place where the majority of devs are going to be, Manchester or Frankfurt, in that time zone is more efficient, because you're not having the 2 time zones. Is very difficult to balance things in the way of building patches, dev speaking, etc.
Well, hold up. It's like, maybe help me here. We got the lead developers, like the people who are making the game in the UK. You have the people who are keeping it up and running and releasing it in Austin. So you are testing it, you're getting it ready, you're shipping it over to Austin early in the day. They release it. They work a normal 9 to 5 and check it, gather feedback, ready to go for the next day, give that information to the UK, and they're ready to go in the morning to work on the fixes that need to happen. Like, they can work in both. Like, so I feel like we're saying consolidate everybody to the UK, and it seems like it makes like a world of sense to not do that and have it start here and move west throughout the day and have people maintaining.
I guess, yeah, right? Because then yeah.
So it just like makes total sense the way they do it. They just need to release the patch a little earlier, and then we're okay, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because again, the UK or the Texas team, how late are you staying up to make sure this stuff is working? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, that just shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, like if I'm getting into a patch at 10 a.m. in Australia, then you are up far too late.
Exactly. Like, unless you want to do that because you're you know, like super dedicated and that's what you want to do and you love your job, whatever, that's you. But as a standard, and this has become a standard to release it that late, that just shouldn't be a thing for anybody who works at the company's health.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't work for the game either. So the fact that they want to make that change is super healthy and sounds good. I mean, I'm glad you made this call, Frosty. We got some amazing news for, I think, a lot of people, and hopefully it helps the game.
No, I might sound harsh, but at the same time, it's just something that is like was nagging me. It's like, how are you going to, you know, say you're going to go for playability, etc., when you're not giving the bulk of your player base the enough time to
the opportunity,
you know, the opportunity to play and help, and you know,
especially when it's a patch a day. So it's like if you do miss that first day, it's like tough.
Exactly,
right?
But I will say it's still on CIG to fix those bugs and make sure they actually fixed, instead of, you know, what you did, Mike, I think it was yesterday or the day before, going through the patch notes and say, this is not fixed, this is not fixed, this is not fixed. You know what I mean? So if you're going to use us as your Q&A, make sure you do it properly, you know. But yeah,
the
that's
worst part is,
really.
I sent all those bugs to, you know, I did all those issue council reports and it just doesn't matter. So yeah, hopefully this time it does. Because, you know, if you work out your systems a little bit better, maybe it makes it more efficient and it's better. But all right, Frosty, we'll get to some other callers, but that was that was a good chat. Got heated there for a second, maybe a little bit.
Heated in a good way. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I will say we got about half an hour left. We'll try to get to Gumbo and Zyloh. I see you guys, but if we do get to you, you guys will be the last one. So I'll just do it in what order I see you guys in. I'll pull you in. But yeah, Frosty, we'll let you go. And thanks for calling, man. I know.
Yeah, cheers.
See ya.
Sit around.
All right. So our next caller is PepicWalrus or Miles. What would you prefer to go by? I mean, you put both, so I don't know what to say. I put PepicWalrus. You there?
Do you hear us?
Ooh, going once.
Hello?
I hear you.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. My Discord device was disconnected for some reason. I guess voice mod screwed with it.
Yep.
But PepicWalrus is fine to put up. That's just
all right, cool.
The username.
Yep. I figured that's a good go too.
Yeah. The free fly. The canceling, right move, but I think for the wrong reason, because it seems reactionary. It does not seem like pre-thought of. Like,
you mean reactionary to the post? Like, to point out, Terada's post is the most upvoted post in the history of Spectrum.
Oh wow, didn't know that. That's kind of crazy.
There's just like, and then on the Reddit, there's just like outrage everywhere. I think it seems more backlash control than like for the right reasons that we'd want.
I mean, I will say, of course, it's reactionary.
Yeah,
the patch came out; it was bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like they weren't like making decisions. I imagine before the patch came out about this, right?
Yeah, that is fair. That said, though, performance-wise for myself was good the day I played. I couldn't play today though. I've not been able to get on today, but I played yesterday all day and managed to get all 6 phases done, and it worked pretty good.
Which route did you go? Who are you fighting for?
So I was going to do headhunters, but then I saw the ship skins, and I was going to do freedom fighters, and then I saw the ship skins, and then I saw the headhunters, and I'm like, well, yo ho ho, and bottle rum for me, I guess. I'm a cheap sellout, I guess, for purple skids.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and the last, like, I did the outpost hits mainly. I did one of the ship ambushes, but the last outpost one, I'd say, was actually like pretty special for me. Came in, had somebody else around, so I took him out. Another player around, kind of jumped him while he was landing. And
how are the AI?
outpost,
the AI were pretty strong.
Yeah, they're pretty good in Pyro specifically, especially like when 4.0 came out, they were using like tactics, and I was like, "What game did you guys come from? Because it can't be Star Citizen."
Now you gotta remember, this AI was always built in there. Someone
I know
this AI for years and years. It just never worked.
When they can actually connect to their brains in the server.
Exactly.
I also like that there was a reason to bring a sniper rifle and use it. It felt really satisfying. I really enjoyed the headhunter's path for that reason.
Yeah. However, this last outpost is 72. I think it was on terminal, and I wanted to mark its location. It was in a cave. There's like one of those remote outposts.
There's a few of those. There's one in Terminus, and there's one in Pyro 4.
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware.
It was my last headhunters, and I was like, no way. I was so upset. I look down, and I see 3 markers below the ground. And I'm like, they fell through the planet. They fell through the planet. And then somebody in the chat goes, they're in a cave. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm at an outpost. There's no cave. And then they go, hit F2. I open the map, and you see there's a building with a cave entrance on the inside. And I was like, I was praising the level designers. I was like, that is so cool. That was awesome. Like, I legitimately had actual fun because it was work. Like, I had fun doing Freedom Fighters, and I had fun doing Headhunters. I did not have fun doing CFP. CFP was awful. Hold on, let me quantum travel to the station, and then let me quantum travel for 10 minutes, and then let me go back. And it was horrible.
And then, like, on my way out from the cave, they, like, for whatever reason, 5 NPC ships spawned above me, so I had to, like, deal with those leaving.
I think the next mission that somebody else spawned for it. Probably.
But it led to a cool moment trying to get out. And then, anticlimactic end, the pulse that I shoved in the back of my Guardian bludgeoned me to death when I tried to move it. So, survived all that for kind of anticlimactic. And then I got hit by a 30k error and kicked from the server and haven't been able to get back on. So.
Oh, you got shard locked.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay. I heard some people got unlocked today, so maybe give it a try.
Oh,
I don't know if you checked today.
I tried this morning and it wouldn't let me on. I'd go through the queue and then time out and then even change the region. So we'll see. At least I got the phase 1s done.
Yeah.
But.
Yep.
And then hearing Croncy complain about his performance, despite him having perfect performance every other update.
Let me be clear.
I'm like enjoying.
Fantastic.
There's some little piece of me that is enjoying. Like, I'm just enjoying that he's suffering because he comes on every podcast and is like, it works perfectly.
What are you talking about? I don't think it was
perfect. Oh my god, I am reveling in this at the moment, and I know that's
experiences what we experience every update once.
Yeah. I've been removed from the streamer privilege, admin role. It's been super rough for me, so much so that it's like, I have not felt this bad about playing Star Citizen since 3.18.
Only real technical issue I've had is when trying to travel to like the stations in Pyro, sometimes my quantum travel will like overshoot and I'll end up like either like way out in orbit or like 100 kilometers away. Then I'm like, well, I guess I'll just spend 5 minutes flying to it. So that's really the only technical issues I've had. But
by the way, for some reason I had Croncy turned down a little bit during the podcast. I think I was turning down someone else and I accidentally got him. I just brought his volume up appropriately, so let me know if everything was or wasn't super balanced, but apologies. Should be good now. What a mess. What a mess this whole podcast has been. It's smoothed out more recently, but I found another issue.
It is on flavor. It is as buggy as Star Citizen.
Answer the call 4.0.1.
Yeah, exactly. This is a 4.0.1 podcast for sure. Anything else you want to talk about, Pepic?
No, that's really it. Only other issue I had was the Copians. on those outpost missions, thank God they add god markers to when you get to like 80% of the enemies
Yes.
eliminated, because Copians will just fuck off into the sunset.
300 meters from you. They're just out in the middle of
in
nowhere.
different direction. In different direction.
But if you shoot at them from really far away, they are like they charge you. Yeah. So like
it's
pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It's because I think air quotes tamed Copians only they just see the people as part of their pack, but there's no actual like, this is my master, I'm following this guy. They're just they literally just run away for whatever reason. Sometimes they just go wherever they feel like it. Yeah. Other than that, that's really it. So
sounds good. All right, Pepic. Awesome. Be good, man. Thanks for your call, and I'm glad you got your stuff done, and I'm glad Croncy didn't. So
hopefully everybody else can. So farewell.
Catch you later, dude. Bye now. I'm not actually glad you didn't. I feel really bad for you, but
Michael lives for this.
I am enjoying it a little bit because you always tell me how perfect everything is, and I get to have the perfect. I finally got the perfect one time. Okay, let me enjoy it. That's really what it is. All right, Snugs, welcome in, man. If you can hear us.
What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing?
We're doing good.
We're doing good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about the new player experience, if you will. Just because I've had some friends who, every time there's a free fly, and I feel like this is part of being a naive, semi-jaded SC backer at this point. But like every time there's a free fly, reaching out to people, of playing other games or whatever, and being like, hey, like, you should check this out. There's a free fly, like low stakes, hop into it. There were a few friends that like I had told about the free fly that they canceled. And just to be clear, I'm so on board with them canceling the free fly. I think it's great. But a few of them were like, oh, when's the free fly? Like, let's hop in. And I was like, oh, they canceled it, but here's the credentials for like a second account or whatever, borrowed a friend's account, whatever, like you should hop on. And so the three of us were playing last night, and it was bad. It was just awful. Nothing worked. I mean, in 4 hours, we were not able to complete a single mission on like a 200 pop server. Too.
Like it should be better.
Exactly. And I think it's the sort of thing where like both of those guys, big sci-fi fans, MMO players, and like the ideal candidate of who would potentially be like, oh, I would have done the free fly and then bought a game package and then so on and so forth. And it was just so interesting, and it just made me sad of like, dude, we're this many years in and the state is still this bad. That a new player is so viscerally turned off from even logging on the next day and trying to keep playing, and so I think it's great that they canceled the free fly. It is a big action for sure. And I mean, maybe this is about, I think Mike, you said it in your latest video, maybe this is like, we're seeing the Rich Tyler era or whatever that's supposed to even mean at this point. But I don't know. It's just like, if I can't even show the game to friends and like have fun with people, like it's just, I don't know. It's just so demoralizing at this point. So
what's funny is the game's like way better than it was like 3 years ago when everybody was literally just drooling over the way the game looked, I guess. It's just very funny, the mentality of people now. The moment server meshing ended, everyone's like, all right, like, get better now. You have no more excuses. The mentality, literally like a light switch, has switched.
Right. I think it's also like, because like, yes, the game is much better than it was 3 years ago in the terms of, at the very least, like the features that have been introduced. But because all of those new fun features are locked behind bugs, or were, then it's like, all right, cool. Well, I'm coming into the game to do the fun, cool things that you've released in the last 3 years, and I can't. That's extra frustrating. Whereas 3 years ago, when I was just like, I just want to mine for 6 hours, like it was very different.
I still do just want to mine for 6 hours.
That's fair.
No, and I think like the little saving grace of what we were doing is eventually it was just like, okay, let's all just get in the same ship and just go like look at the planets. in Pyro, and everybody's like, oh, like these are cool. You know, at the
Yeah.
end, it's like we just need to get to a point where it's more than pretty visuals, and I know that's just a tale as old as time with this game. Of,
They're trying.
you know,
There's
I
no.
know. Yeah.
We could see that they're trying. They're just not succeeding. I mean, contested zones, dude. They were not just pretty locations. They were fun.
Well, and that was, you know, that was the thing that I was kind of banking on in the back of my mind. Is like, okay, well, if all the missions are you know, shitting themselves, like at least we can go do a contested zone.
Yep.
And so finally we like went to the asteroid base and got in this crazy PvP fight, like in EVA, as we were getting to the asteroid base. It was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, we're gameplay. Yes, let's go. We get in, clear the thing. They're not the best FPS players, and so they were like struggling, but in a fun way against the AI, not in a previous like the AI's teleporting around way. And went to print the card to go back to, you know, Obituary, and the card bugged out. It's like, oh, like, god damn it.
Yeah, it's like you can't win, man. There's so many. The problem with CZs is there's so many opportunities for something to break because there's so many steps that it does break, and the whole thing breaks, and it's just rough.
Yeah.
I think also, I just question for both of you guys is, one, I'm stoked that we get 2 hours with Benoit, because I don't know, he's always just seemed like a legit dude, and I don't know, I feel like I can believe what he's saying more often than not. What what do you guys think we're gonna hear from him? And I think also, like, what do you want to hear from him?
I think 2 hours is like too long, but yeah.
I mean, like, kind of like what they said in the description of it, like being a sort of explaining what's gone wrong with like the servers, like what the issues actually are, past just this bug exists and it needs to be fixed, right? And I mean, the biggest thing is like, where do you go from here? We've server meshing exists now, awesome. You've always talked about eventually you want to move towards dynamic server meshing, which I think is such a pipe dream, but like it would fundamentally change the game in a great way. So like, yeah, what does it look like? Where are you going to start adding even more DGSs as we, you know, start to get into these good spots? Are we going to start looking at higher server counts? 600 has been pretty good, but like there's definitely room for you already to increase that number in terms of like gameplay. Yeah, like what does it look like? Once you fix this, what does it look like?
Like we were talking about earlier, we're like, okay, it's really hard to reproduce bugs if they're inconsistent. That's what I'm looking to hear. Do you know what the issues are, and do you know the solutions? Because that is exactly what we heard the last time he was on. I know what the issue is. I know what the solution is. We're doing it, and hopefully it'll work. And it worked.
Yeah.
Right? That is hopefully what we hear this time. We know what these problems are. This is what we're doing to fix it. And when we fix it, it's going to be fun. And hopefully it's fun, because it worked out last time. But yeah, maybe it's a pipe dream to think that, you know, in 2 hours, all those issues, he's going to be able to tell us that they're going to fix all of them and everything's going to be fine. I don't think that's a reality, right? So hopefully he's really honest with us and saying, hey, it's going to be shit. This aspect will be shit for a little while. This will be good. And I hope that's the level of honesty that we get, instead of playable now, which again, literally while reacting to Terada's post or Zyloh's post, the ads are still coming saying playable now. Like, it's just, what
that's because they paid for them a year ago, Mike.
I know, but it doesn't, it's still so silly, right? So.
Yeah. I feel like it would go a really long way. I think honestly, canceling the free fly was great, and I think it's a good step. If we get some good information from Benoit, and then see tangible action in the next month or two based on what we heard from him, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'd like to see, and I think it would go a long way with people. If it was funny seeing all the Reddit threads that immediately popped up within an hour of them canceling the free fly, being like, is CIG finally changing? It's like, they've got you wrapped around their fingers so hard. Let's give it a little bit and see if they can follow up on any of this.
Hopefully, they certainly changed a little bit to do that. something changed. How significant is that change? Only time will tell.
Well, I think it was end at the same time. Like, just judging on the interaction that the experience my friends had last night, they could have dropped a free fly, and I wonder how much money they would have made because people would have tried it, been like, this sucks. Why would I buy a game package?
Yeah.
I think it's that bad right now, especially for a new player where
again, though,
you need hand holding.
They did a free fly in 318. They did a free fly 318. They did a free fly in 323.
Yeah. I started playing, I think it was 3.7 free fly for like IAE 2019, and it was utter trash, and I haven't stopped playing the game. So like,
fair enough.
You know, like it doesn't necessarily like
3.7 was arguably the best patch in the history of the game, like the most stable. Is that 3.5 or 3.7
then? Because it was terrible.
Maybe
it was
so 3.5. There was like this one that was just Omega, just no issues. It's just there was no game.
No. But yeah, I do think probably long term it's still a great decision monetarily to not have those people in now. Because I do think there is value in like there's still having that first time experience. If it is an amazing experience, you will continue to play for longer than you probably would. Like if you've got a shit experience at first, but then you're still like, oh, give it a little bit of a try, you're gonna get worn down a lot faster as every next patch is absolutely trash.
Yeah.
Than it would be if it just worked. So
true. All right, you got anything else, Snugs, or should we let you go?
No, that was it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, as always. Of course.
Thank you.
Be good, man. I know.
Gotcha, man.
All right, we're bringing in Blaze. Blaze, can you hear us?
BlazeMonger.
I can hear you just fine. Yes.
All right, perfect. Now, before we start this call, when are we? You know what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
When are we going to go play some Eve together? Blaze says he's going to Sherpa me through some exploration, and
oh, nice. You haven't done much exploration.
I am doing it currently, but I want to do like wormhole stuff, and I want
yeah. I love wormhole stuff. So good.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
also obligatory Eve mention every episode. Anyway,
got it.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, the thing that I'm thinking of since we started talking about this is picking up streaming again, just because I like doing that specifically. And showing people and teaching people is actually something that I enjoy doing. In the past, I have. So I might do it again. But besides the point. And as I said, I've been busy with another game that you absolutely hate. But yeah, it's been drawing me back
Elite
in.
Dangerous?
No.
Okay, I don't hate Elite. Oh, Dual Universe.
Oh, Dual Universe.
Really?
I didn't even know that
I thought
existed.
it closed.
Yeah.
No. They actually have private servers up right now, and they are really fun. You can modify a lot of things, make the quality of life things that you always wanted.
Oh, interesting.
And that's really, really nice. So yeah, that's been
good for them.
A time-consuming activity for me. Let's put it like that.
Hey, good for you. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you want to SC-wise talk about?
Yeah, so talk about SC. I mean, the first thing for me, I wanted to briefly get back to the point that you've brought up a few times. I heard about the Terada post, people saying that it's a creator who's complaining and they shouldn't really make a point of that. I think that's not fair.
No creators should have opinions. I agree.
Well, exactly, but
I think what he's referencing is before I even read the post, a single word of it. I was like, I'm going in with a bias of creator upset that he can't create content. So that's probably what this video will be, or that's what this post will be. But it turned out not really to be the case. So
yeah,
go ahead, Blaze.
I thought the post. Yeah, I thought the post was actually really good.
Yes, it was.
And especially with Terada, who is obviously a high-profile content creator for CIG, for Star Citizen, in a market where they have a large amount of players, in a cultural situation where people listen to a streamer like Terada, maybe more so than otherwise. And I think that is what played into the response we saw from CIG in the Zyloh post as well. And it was brought up before, and I actually agree with that. The thing that I do not like about it is that it's a reactive post, and I would like CIG to be more proactive with these things. They've always said they read our posts, they read our feedback, they listen to us. The question I've always had, are you hearing what we're saying?
Yeah.
You may be listening, but are you hearing what we're saying? And so that is still up in the air for me. What would change that is if they started to be reactive. Because we, as a community, have been telling them 4.x is not ready since end of November last year, at least. And they push it anyway because they have a ship to sail. They have a letter of the chairman to put out. They have to be able to say that they released it in 2024. They have to be able to make the game for Chris Roberts.
Optics,
I would say they should be making the game for us. And that sounds obvious, I guess.
But it's not.
But it's
them,
not.
Yeah.
Precisely, because
they literally communicate we're Chris's vision for his game, and it's like, is Chris building a game for? Is Chris's vision to have us in mind?
It's Chris's vision, yes, but the game is for us, not for Chris.
Yeah,
they are realizing the vision that Chris has for us to play.
Yep,
and that's I think that's a disconnect. That's something that could be better.
Somebody in Twitch, somebody in Twitch chat goes, Chris needs some LASIK.
Yeah. So that's something that I really believe. And the other thing that was brought up before, and I started thinking about that, about the patch frequency. I mean, we see it in PTO specifically, and right now with the hotfixes, I think the hotfixes are actually a really good system to get changes into the live servers. But why don't they just say, okay, we are going to patch on Tuesdays and on Thursdays? In between those, only if there's an emergency, we're going to patch. That'll give them time to not only fix things, but also test the fixes before they patch.
I agree. The problem is, every day has been an emergency of this patch.
This is kind of true.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I do think like less frequent patches are better in that sort of style.
Yeah, I agree. But on the other hand, if you put in a frequency when you set, you're in a development stage of a game. You're not running a live server. No matter what you're saying, you're not running a live service. You're developing a game in an open manner. And you have to try and get both sides in there. So from that perspective, I think doing 2 patches days a week so that everybody knows, yes, things can get rough, but every Tuesday and every Thursday we put out a patch unless there is a real emergency. And if you build on that, if you communicate that, and communication is a big thing with CIG, not always in the best way, but anyway, I think that would be better.
Can I tell you what is a sort of a similar solution?
Yeah.
Weekly resets, please.
Maybe
weekly resets. Like those sort of patches would come with those sort of things, right? Like because those patches essentially would be a reset.
Not just a reset, but why don't you do a restart twice a week? Just bring the whole system down. Yeah, bring everything down and start it up again. Do that twice. Daily is probably a bit much to ask because we see the degradation in servers.
I wouldn't want it daily. To bring up Eve again, that is my least favorite thing about Eve, is that at 10 p.m. every single day, I can't play the game. That sucks.
Well, I mean, because you're Australian, it's literally 6 a.m. Yeah,
it is terrible for Australia. But like the fact that is daily, like, is a problem. A weekly is a lot more reasonable, I think. But then it brings up that problem again of it is very likely that a weekly like reset probably causes those issues of now everything is set back at your home, you're not progressing at all. And I know that you said you are developing a game, you're not making a live service. Players are expecting live service.
That's true.
So that's a massive issue.
They are expecting the live service because of the way CIG communicates.
Somebody Twitch said Benoit answered that. I don't remember Benoit ever answering that. And if they did, can you elaborate, Lancer Echo, please?
would be interested to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to the one thing that stood out for me recently. Something about IC reports. Why did Benoit post a question for the community to provide him with a link to his IC report to a specific issue that they were looking into?
Because
can somebody tell me how he's not able to find that?
Well, isn't it easier to ask somebody? He's a man, like he's a go do things for me kind of guy, right? Like that's his job.
Yeah, but he's asking the community.
Sorry, I don't think that's a problem.
Should there not be a tracking system internally where he can find that information?
There are hundreds of IC reports. A lot of them are not well done. Like read through a couple of IC reports and you'll be like, you're explaining this problem. I have exactly no idea what you're talking about or what you're trying to say. Right?
Okay,
if you're asking the great community, it's probably a better filtering system than what you would get through this manual going through it. Yeah.
All right, let's move past that one. So the free fly canceling, I think, is good. True. I agree that it is going to have a financial impact for CIG. And what I expect is that they made the calculation here, following from the Terada post, if we do a free fly now, what's the potential damage that's going to do against the potential gains that we might have from it? And I think they came up with, this is going to cost us money in the end anyway, so we might as well not run it. So that makes sense that they did. And I don't think there's anything bad about that.
But it doesn't seem like it was to benefit the people who want to play. It seemed like it was, like you said, to not hurt their bottom line as much.
Yes.
So it still was a financial decision, which is what we don't want them to make. We want them to make... Well, we do, obviously.
If the financial decisions benefit the game and us especially, then yes, make all of those decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's still, you keep in the back of your mind is this was a financial decision. I really will praise them if they make a gameplay focused exclusive decision. That may not benefit them financially.
That's fair.
Right? Yeah.
But the free fly is a financial event.
Yeah.
It is inherently a marketing event meant to draw a new player. So it's always going to be a financial angle.
I totally understand that. I'm just saying if they did something that was equally as good for the game or whatever, but it had nothing to do with marketing, then it would be more impactful to me. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Like putting the Atlas into the game straight away without putting it in the store.
Yes, but at the same time, releasing it very quickly instead of waiting the however many months we will have to for the Fortune or whatever other ships have been released was a positive as well. So it's not great because you probably got everybody who was going to buy it anyway, but not the worst. Yeah.
And I agree with that. So I think we're on the same page there. So that's good. About the Benoit thing in the Zyloh post, I mean, and I'm going to be a devil's advocate here. Call me salty if you want, but I think it's a lightning rod. He is being used as a lightning rod.
What does that mean?
He is being put in front of the camera to obscure the issues that they're having right now with the community a little bit, because they know how the community feels about him talking. If you understand what I mean.
But if he's
not saying it's bad.
Yeah, if he's talking about the literal problems that we're discussing, like I don't know if that, like I know you just said that's not a bad thing, but I also think that
trustworthy member of the team.
That's all true. But why now at this specific point?
Because the patch is garbage. Actually though, right? Like it's.
I think it all ties together.
You don't want to do what they did with 318 when they did their postmortem, where it was, what was it, 4 months, 5 months later? It was very, very long after.
Yeah, this is immediate.
You want to talk about it ASAP.
Yeah. The reason why I say that, though, is that last year, when we were talking about 4.0 being in trouble, performance-wise, and should not be released, I was one of the people, and there were several people who said, Benoit gave you all the reasons and the viable and reasonable reasons why you should not put 4.0 out. He talked about those several times. He explained very well why things were delayed, why it took more time, why you were behind. So you could have used that to say, guys, we know, we told you, we're going to put it out by the end of 2024. We've also told you about the issues that we've been facing. You all know and you've seen that we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. We're going to need a little more time. So we're going to push this past into the first quarter of 2025. If they'd done that proactively, and that's where we go back to proactive work, I think a lot of people would have gone, wow, they're actually listening to us. They're picking up on what we're telling them, and they're acting on it. And now they don't, because they completely let that slip by. And now there's more issues, and Benoit comes back in. So and maybe I'm being too on the negative side on this, but I think they had an opportunity then, and they may have an opportunity again now to see where that goes. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
overall,
that's the approach you really have to take with him coming on camera again. It was very successful, very good the last time,
True.
and hopefully it's the same. I mean, if you're still following the project and you don't have at least a glimmer of hope that things might get better,
I do.
Yeah, then what are we doing here? So I think that's kind of how you have to approach this aspect of it.
That's true.
Like the people who, and I think people put me in this box, but it's just totally not founded or not true, is like, if you're enjoying the game or something good, or you feel something good, and somebody just wants to tear that down for just because that you don't like the game and you want somebody else to feel the same way you do, is just not a good mentality to have.
That's true. And I think it's also in part because you're somebody who wears his emotions on his sleeve.
Yeah.
You're really
very too emotional. Yeah.
You're easily, let's say, provoked into a certain reaction. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's fair. It's fair.
And that's perfectly fine. And we can all laugh about it in hindsight when it happens, and that's also good. That's perfect. That's the way it should be, I think.
It's who I mean, that can't change. It's who I am. I wish I
no,
wasn't that way, but I am.
No, but that's fine. That's the way you are, and that's the way you react, and that's why people are watching what you're doing. And so there's also people who don't get that, who jump into a snippet of what you're doing, and they go like, "What's this guy about? Is there something wrong with him? Whatever. What's going on here?" While we all go, it's just Mike.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. I think that's just fun, and we're having a bit of fun with it and a laugh about it right now. But that's fine. I'm for me, I like that actually. That's part of the reason why I'm here. But anyway,
yeah, I think we went.
I want to wrap this up.
The beaten path on that one.
That's okay though. So one of the things that Croncy mentioned, that he would expect that the population number for the service will get higher. I agree. I do personally think that the population numbers will need to get well north of 1K players, like well north. Eventually, it'll take a lot of time, but they need to get there, because if you get ships into the game, which will have 25, 30, 40 people on them, if they're fully manned, by the time they get into the game, you will need to have 1,500, 2,000 people in a shard in total, at least, if not more.
If that's not an achievement or a goal that they're trying to achieve, I don't think we'll have a video game to play. So I mean,
true. But I've heard a lot of people say, well,
number.
if they manage 600, 800, maybe that's fine. No,
you can see right now that it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, and they will need to get a lot more people in actively playing for the game to come alive, and that's fine. That's going to take time, so that's fine. But yeah, I agree that needs to be a lot higher than that. The only thing that I'm a bit concerned about now, and we'll see how that goes, when 4.0 came out, even though it wasn't perfect, we saw tick rates of 30 FPS, 25, pretty steadily.
Yeah.
We're currently at 10, 12 again.
No, I see 30 all the time.
Yeah, even in my absolutely terrible servers, I'm still got like good tick rate.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's a local thing here. I don't know, but I've seen the 30 tick rate and the 25 tick rate, and I'm actually, if they can keep it at 15 tick rate, 15 for server ticks, will be fine for a game like Star Citizen.
Not for the FPS experience, but okay.
That's a fair point, but then you come to the argument,
good enough for that, probably. But
is the game an FPS? Should they focus on the FPS gameplay to
Yes.
the point
They don't-
where they should?
That's a trick question. They don't focus on anything. That's
No.
CIG's biggest problem.
But to answer that,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
nearly the entire experience is an FPS experience. It's just not
Yep.
all of it is super
Currently, yes.
flicky. But the moment you get out of your ship, that opportunity is always available. So yes, they should be focusing on those things, because if the experience isn't good,
That's fair.
it would be rough. But Blaze,
I think
we have gone on.
I think
So we got to go. We got a couple more people we got to get to, and we hit the.
Yeah, we've
the
gone for
mark.
about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
good-
we should
good
have left out
chat.
the Eve part at the beginning then. But anyway, all right,
That
guys,
was only for
I'll
30
leave it at that.
seconds.
Cheers for the cold.
Catch you,
blazemonger.
Blaze.
Thank you, guys.
But yeah,
Uh,
we'll continue it next week, or because I'm sure nothing's gonna change.
Sure. All right.
Catch you later, dude.
All right.
Bye now. Sorry for cutting you off, but we had to.
Yep.
All right. So next, and that was a good call. It's just, yeah, at some point you got to say, hey, let's get these other people in there. They gotta eat too. Let's bring in Bishop. Bishop, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sure can. Howdy.
I'm good. Yeah. So I've been watching you guys for quite some time. Been playing Star Citizen since like 2018, on and off.
Nice.
Nice.
But,
Welcome.
so my question for you guys is, so like Star Citizen's always been about pushing the boundary, right? Whether that be in game or their server tech, stuff like that. But do you think that how do I word this question? Say Pyro, right? I would say that's pushing the boundary, hugely pushing the boundary.
Yeah.
But update comes out and stability all over the place. Would you guys, as content creators or streamers, would you trade Pyro for stability, or would you rather have Pyro in the game as it is?
I as long as you let me keep CZs. Like it's such a cool new feature, right?
Yeah.
What I would change it to maybe is, would I trade server meshing for stability? Because that's
Okay,
probably
yeah.
like the more sort of like accurate question, I guess.
I think this is such
and
a.
I think no.
I think this is such like a. What are you doing for me lately? Kind of like, I don't need to
Yeah.
trade anything. I just need them to just do the right things and stop making only financial decisions and make decisions that are not founded in any financial decision whatsoever, and it's just making the game better. That's
Yeah.
what I need. Like, if they're going forward with deciding things and making the game better and fulfilling the vision, not that just Chris has, but that they've told us that they want to do, and that people are behind. Like, we all see the potential of the game. If they continue to realize that potential each patch, then I have no problem with the shit experience that we have now if the next one's a little bit better. The problem that we have now is the next one wasn't better. It was literally the same / worse, and added more bloat that nobody asked for. Like, Fight for Pyro is cool. It is, but it didn't need to happen right now, right? There's all that. So as long as we're moving forward, I have no problem with the state of the game now. It's the issue is that we were always moving in a direction that just never ever made sense to me, and we're kind of moving in a direction that makes sense with CZs and things like that. So yeah,
Maybe it even goes a little bit against pushing the boundary if they're just making the game not necessarily worse, but less stable in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think I mean, you guys are more in touch with the community than I would be. Do you think the community would trade Pyro for stability at this as it is now?
Half of them can't log in, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm as one of those players.
Yeah.
I feel that.
I think there is like a reasonable part of the community that's like, Actually, where someone said like community will always be kind of half and half. I think there's a reasonable amount of the community that's like, well, we need Pyro for stuff to get tested, blah blah blah. So I'm not going to trade anything for it, but like, I'm still going to be disappointed the whole time. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, I recognize the decision you've made. I don't love the decision that you've made, but like, I'll deal. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll move away from stability and stuff. I think you guys have been talking about it all day. I want to talk about something completely different. So, I'm not a massive combat player in Star Citizen. I like playing. I like hauling. I like salvaging. I like mining, whatever it may be.
Yep.
But
Like
I
me.
enjoy doing combat with my friends. Yeah, exactly. But I enjoy doing combat with my friends. So I like taking non-combat ships and putting them into roles in combat that they might not normally take. So, for instance, I really like the Argo Raft, one of my favorite ships. I think it'd be really cool if that ship could lift vehicles instead of cargo containers. It makes such a cool like drop ship or something like that. What do you guys think about? Are there any other ships you think about that would be cool
Can I just bring up
in a
the
scenario
fact-
like that?
A Nova from the back of it or something would be sick.
Exactly.
Just a bit off topic of the question. For people who like to move mining bags, I was watching Red Monster. We like raid him after the podcast sometimes, and he was a guest host a couple weeks ago. You can put the mining bags on the what was the Argo ship we just talked to? Yeah, you can put them on the raft, and they don't clip into it. Like they go on properly. So you could put like 12 bags on a raft.
That's actually
pretty
sick.
badass. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That is interesting because
Awesome.
you'd think it would just be the big like cargo containers that go on the back there.
No. You could put the bags on them and it works.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's it.
Okay, that's something to try.
Yep. But to answer your question, a vehicle that doesn't like outside of its role, right?
I have
so
one.
Go on.
So I have one, and it's because we did it like a very pseudo version of it. So you take the caterpillar, you open up all the doors, and you put the size 1 FPS turrets at the doors,
amazing.
and you get like the ones that you have in the Valkyrie, the ones that you have down at the bunkers, and you shoot out of them. We did it was like Xenothreat like 2 years ago. We did a thing like that, but we just had someone sitting in each section with a railgun on like the caterpillars like open doors.
Like a big AC-130 gunship
exactly
kind of thing.
Yeah, so I would love to see something like that. I think it would be probably like garbage in terms of like being good at all, but holy crap, that would be fun.
I love like a kitchen sink fleet kind of thing, and I think it's so cool to see the community being really creative, especially in a sandbox world with ships like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Expat just messaged me and said Red's doing it right now, so we have our raid after
awesome.
the stream.
There we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was questions for you guys, but I appreciate it.
Perfect. All right, Bishop.
We appreciate
Thank you so much for calling, man.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
Talk to you soon. All right, so that is actually where we're gonna leave it today. I know Zillim was in there. I let both of the two people in the queue that we're gonna let it go in because we've gone on pretty long. I need to eat a little bit, and yeah, so it's time to end the podcast. We like to go around 2 hours, so sometimes we let you guys go on a bit too long. We really got to keep that 5-minute timer on people and make it like a meme on the podcast.
At the minimum 10 minutes. Like we need to interrupt at 10 or something.
Yeah, like we should have a sound that goes up at 5, and then if the call is like going well or whatever, we let it go to 10, and at 10 it literally just hangs up on them or something. Yeah,
disconnects them from the Discord.
Exactly. Like we should do something like that. But I don't know. How do you feel? We know how we feel right now. How do we think we're going to feel on next week's show? Do you think we're going to have a better outlook, a positive feeling after all the like potential hot fixes, talking to Benoit, anything else that they do going forward? Do you think we're going to come into next week feeling better, or do you think we're going to come in feeling worse?
It's going to depend on it needs to be like a couple of things that happen, right? Like just a good talk from Benoit is not going to lift my spirits enough, right? There's like 3 or 4 like core bugs in the game right now that need to be fixed ASAP, proper ASAP. Before I can like I enjoy the game a lot of time with bugs, but the ones that are happening now are just so absolutely infuriating and game breaking.
There's no workarounds for the ones that are happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like that needs. There are like 3 or 4 major bugs that need to be fixed this week. The Benoit talk is going to be interesting. It's going to be cool to watch. I actually do the fact that you said it's on Thursday. I love that because it means I can actually watch it on time. Finally,
Hell yeah,
for once.
Nice.
So I'll be able to do that.
Will be prepared for the podcast this coming week with an SCL.
So that'll be a thing, and also it'll be good just to hear from them again. We had this year has also just started off rough, and like I felt like we've really needed to hear CIG talk a lot.
You know what would have been good, and this was from a guy who was going to call in, so this was probably going to be a point that they wanted to make. So I'll help make it for them. Maybe having Benoit and Rich would have been a good way to do it. Because 2 hours is a lot for one guy. Maybe back and forth between the two of them would have been a better SCL.
There's because it's not a Q&A one, right? Like it's 2 hours. It's not a Q&A.
It's just going to be a podcast.
It is going to be a podcast, but it also sounds like it might be like a little bit more prepared. So maybe there's going to be like a lot more talked about than we think. Maybe the future of server meshing. But honestly,
Benoit's this is my prediction too, though.
True, that's true.
But
like the future of server meshing might have been a thing that we're going to do already. So now they've just tacked on
a couple other.
Let's talk about exactly. So
yeah, good point. Good point. All right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I think that's where we're going to leave it. So if you are new here and you're watching on Twitch, I'll do the little shout out for Croncy. Make sure you hit and follow our Twitch streams. Because we stream Star Citizen a lot. We might be streaming other games depending on what happens this week. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, hit the like button on the live stream. I think that helps a lot. Not really sure, but people say it does, so do that. And if you're watching on the VOD on YouTube, make sure you hit the like, subscribe if you guys are really enjoying the podcast, and consider supporting using the join button or super thanks or whatever those things are. So thank you so much. We do appreciate you guys so much. And hopefully we're coming in a bit more positive next week. And but at the same time, I mean, I'm still feeling optimistic and all that. So I'm not going to forget to answer the call. What about you, Croncy?
I won't forget. I did want to add one other thing, which is in 2 weeks' time, I will be doing a 24-hour stream of Star Citizen.
Whoa.
On the front page of Twitch for 8 hours.
Whoa.
So, CIG, get your shit together.
Please.
We need the game to work for 2 weeks' time.
Oh, no. All right. Definitely make sure you follow Croncy then. That'll be a good time. Catch you later, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Answer the call, guys.
Don't forget to answer the call. Bye-bye.